She trusted her boss, but his promises destroyed everything. A story about power, betrayal, and finding the courage to start again. My name is Sarah. I am 34 years old. I work for a large company. Every day I go to my job. I am an employee there. I do not earn much money, but I always make sure my clothes are clean. I like to look neat and tidy. Some people say I am beautiful, but I don't like it when people give me too much attention. I only want to do my work and then go home. I don't want any problems at work. My job is very important to me. My boss's name is Richard. He is 42 years old. He always wears nice suits. Richard is a serious man. He doesn't smile often, but sometimes he smiles at me. I try not to think about those smiles. After some time, Richard started coming to my desk every day. He asked me about my work, but I knew that wasn't the only reason. I could feel his eyes on me, and it made me uncomfortable. One afternoon, he stood by my desk. He looked at me and said, "Sarah, you work very hard here. You always do good work. You deserve more for your hard work." I smiled and said, "Thank you, Richard." But inside, I didn't feel happy. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Richard. Why did he say that? What did he mean by, "You deserve more"? The next week, Richard asked me to come to his office. My heart beat fast as I walked there. I thought maybe I had done something wrong. When I sat down, he said, "Sarah, I want to talk about your salary." I felt a little happy. A pay raise would help me a lot. He said, "You are one of the best workers in this company. You do excellent work every day. You truly deserve a raise." I smiled. Then he looked at me and said, "Maybe we can talk more about this at dinner. We can discuss your new salary there." I didn't know what to say. Dinner with my boss. Was that a good idea? I didn't want to say no. It was about my salary after all, so I just nodded. He smiled again. I left his office feeling confused. Richard said the restaurant was very nice and close to the sea. When I arrived, Richard was already there. He wore a simple shirt, not his usual suit. "You look beautiful, Sarah," he said. His words made me feel shy. We sat down at a table. At first we talked about work, but later Richard asked about my dreams and hobbies. Then he talked about himself. He said he felt lonely sometimes. He said he worked too hard and had little time for his life. He told me I was different. I felt special. While we talked and laughed, Richard took my hand. I knew it wasn't right. He was my boss, and this was not professional. But I didn't pull my hand away. I let him hold it. After dinner, Richard asked if I wanted to go to his apartment. He said we could talk more there. I felt unsure, but I said yes. We walked a short way to his place. It was quiet. I sat on the sofa, and Richard sat next to me. My heart beat fast. He took my hand and kissed me. It was a long kiss. I didn't stop him. That night, I stayed at his apartment. I slept with Richard, my boss. It felt like a dream, but it was real. The next morning, I woke up early. Richard was still asleep beside me. I felt strange. Soon he woke up, smiled, and said, "Don't worry, Sarah. I will take care of you." I wanted to believe him. Later that morning, we both went to work. Richard said nothing about the night before. He only talked about work. Days passed. and I waited for the salary raise Richard had promised me, but nothing happened. He did not talk about it. When I tried to ask him, he always said, "Be patient. It takes time." Soon Richard changed. He stopped visiting my desk. He did not smile at me anymore. During meetings, he did not look at me. He was cold and distant, like a stranger. I felt terrible. My heart hurt. Richard had only used me. He did not care about me. I felt both angry and sad. I knew I had to speak to him. I wanted to know why he lied to me. One afternoon, I knocked on his office door. He told me to come in. I said, "Richard, you promised to increase my salary." He said, "Sarah, this is not right. You must not mix personal things with work. That is not professional." I was angry. How could he say that? I said, "You were the one who started this. You invited me to dinner. You made promises." Richard stood up from his chair and said, "Enough, Sarah. Go back to your desk now. We will not talk about this again. This conversation is finished." My heart broke. My eyes were full of tears. I walked out of his office feeling empty. I couldn't focus on my work anymore. My mind was not clear. People in the office began talking about Richard and me. I thought maybe someone had seen us together. One afternoon, my phone rang. It was a call from the HR manager, Miss Harper. She asked me to come to her office for a meeting. When I sat in front of Miss Harper, she looked serious. She asked about my relationship with Richard. I wanted to stay quiet, but then I remembered his lies. I told Miss Harper everything. She listened carefully. When I finished, she said the company would begin an investigation. Richard said that I was lying, but the HR team found messages he had sent me. Richard was fired from the company. He was gone. But my life didn't get better. It became even harder. My co-workers thought I was the reason Richard lost his job. They called me bad names. Every day at work was painful. I didn't want to go to the office. A few weeks later, I got a letter from the company. It said that I could not work there anymore. They wanted to protect the company's image. I could not believe it. I had lost my job. No one said goodbye. No one looked at me when I left. I had no job and no plan. When I reached my apartment, I sat down and cried for hours. I felt so angry. I was angry at Richard, but I was also angry at myself. Why did I believe him? Why didn't I stop it? I had lost everything. A month passed after I lost my job. It was a hard time. I felt sad and worried. Finding a new job was not easy. I sent my CV to many companies. At last I got a new job. My new boss, Mr. Terry, was kind and respectful. He only talked about work. I felt safe and comfortable there. I worked hard at my new job, and my boss praised me for my effort. Before, I thought I needed someone to take care of me, but now I knew I could take care of myself. I had learned to protect myself and to stand up for what was right. I knew my worth, and that was the most important lesson of all. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories written in simple English. Tell us in the comments, what do you think Sarah learned from this experience?